Now let us talk about errors. So this errors is not only pertaining to C++ but various programming language. So when we program, we have to deal with errors, and for starters there will be a lot of errors. The basic aim is correctness, but there are things which instigate these errors, means which cause them. For example, specification, improper specification, incomplete programs, and our own errors. So what we are going to see here is to deal with these unexpected function arguments. Also, we'll talk about debugging and testing. So what are the kinds of errors? Argument checking, debugging and testing. This kind of this sort of screen, I hope everyone must have received while they were programming. So what are the errors? Morris said, I realized that from now on a large part of my life would be spent finding and correcting my own mistakes. So when we write a program, errors are natural. Everyone, even the best programmer, best software specialist, will face or will create some error. So how to deal with them? We need to organize software with minimize errors or minimum error, and do proper debugging and testing. And even if we are not able to eliminate all the errors, make sure that these errors are not very serious, right? And in SDLC, software development life cycle, the testing part actually takes most of your time, because if you have made a software, okay, you have implemented the specification, but if your program is buggy or it has some problems, then it will not be taken, or even if it is taken, you will be faced with lot of maintenance activity. So your program, it should produce a desired result for all legal inputs. It should give reasonable error message for all illegal inputs, and you don't have to worry about any misbehaving hardware, and you don't have to worry about misbehaving system software also, but you have to be worried about your program, your own program, and your program can easily terminate after finding an error. That is also not a problem. These things for beginners, but for real software we have to take care of all these things. So what are the sources of error? First of all, poor specification. Means if you are not aware that what it is going to give, this is called poor specification. Or incomplete program. Okay, you did something today, you say, okay, tomorrow I'll do something, or I'll add code to it. Kindly try to complete it at once, because it is normally said that human being, they tend to forget 80% of what has happened the earlier day. Unexpected arguments. Square root -1 input is not valid. Square root of -1 cannot be found. Unexpected inputs. You are supposed to give an integer, you are giving a string, and code does not do what it is expected to do, or does not understand if something happens. For that you are responsible, you have to take care of that. So there are various kinds of errors. Compile time errors, which is syntax errors and type errors. Then we have link time errors, linking errors. Then runtime errors. This can be detected by your computer library or user code. Then you have logic errors. Logic errors is done by a programmer, that means you and me. This means code runs, but it does not, or it produces incorrect results. So before trying to use an input value, check that it actually meets your expectations or your requirement. For that, what you have to do, you have to see the function arguments and data from the input, that is istream. Let me show you an example of bad function argument. If this is a function called area, you are supposed to pass length and width, and this is computed length into width, and the result will be the area. If you are passing only one value, this is wrong, because you are passing wrong number of arguments. If you are passing this first argument as string, this is also not correct. 7 and 10, this is perfect, this is okay, because integer and integer, 7 and 10 are integer. What about the 7.5 and 10? This is integer, this is float. Now you are trying to pass a float to integer. Nothing will happen, but 7 will be truncated, 7.5 will be truncated to 7, and most of the compiler will give you a warning. So please worry about this also. And this is a catastrophe. You are passing 10 and minus 7. You will get a result which makes no sense. So what about this input, because this is catastrophical? First is, don't do that. Just don't do anything. Then the caller should check, because who calls should check whether this minus 7 should be there, means he should check the negative value should not come. Or the other thing is, or the other alternative is, the function should check, that means it should return an error value, that this is a problem. Set an error status indicator or throw an exception. We'll see all of this. Sometimes we can't change a function that handles error in a way we do not like, and someone else might have written it. So bad function arguments, this is a worry for us. And why to worry? Because you want your programs to be correct, to be praised, to be the best of its type. Because writer of a function has no control over how it is called. Users are going to call it, and the function, the beginning of the function is a right place to check before even the computation begins or gets complicated. And when to worry? You are not supposed to test every function, test some of them. And now, how to report an error? If you have that catastrophical thing, the length and width, when they are passed, please check length and width. It should not be less than 0. If they are less than 0, return minus 1. Or let the caller be where, means if z or the area comes negative, please intimate that it is a bad area computation. Area cannot be negative. Also, how to see, or even you can forget to return to check the return value like this. And for some function, there isn't a bad value to return, maximum of them. Then continuing with this reporting an error, set an error status indicator. How? Say error number is equal to 0, make a variable called error number, and whenever this thing happen, means the length and width, either of them is less than 0, say error number is equal to some number, say 7, and let the caller check. If the error number is 7, it should give bad area computation. Okay, and there are the problems. I can forget the error number, I can pick error number as the other number, and how to deal with that error, because error can come, but how to deal with that error? This is a class. Class is actually a user defined type. We'll be discussing this in later session. So in a class, bad area is a type to be used as an exception. You can use it as an exception. How? You can just if some problem is there, you can just throw bad area. You can make a class out of it, or you can use try and catch. Try, you can just in this try block, you can keep this statement which can produce error, and you can catch as a bad area, and you can easily see error is equivalent to C out. Generally, it is used to present the error information. oops, bad area calculation. So exception handling, you can't forget about an exception. The program will terminate if someone doesn't handle it. You have to handle it by yourself. And you can also present the error to the user using these exceptions. So this is exceptions. And you have to figure out by yourself what to do about an exception, because error is thrown or exception is thrown and you have to handle it. What about out of range errors? For example, if you have a vector, this is a vector of 10 integer, it initialized to a value of 0, and it is referred to as from v0 to v9 because 0 to 9 it goes. We are starting with 0. We are trying to set the values from 0 to v size, and vi is equal to, I say some value 1 to that 1 2 3 4 and till the size the value will be set. And what about printing these values? If you're trying to print this value 0 to 10, means you can only print up to 9. What about v10? Because this will be out of range error. So the vectors operator, this particular thing, subscript operator, it reports a bad index, its argument, by throwing a range error. If you include this file stdlib facilities, if this kind of error comes, the library will help you. So the default behavior can differ. You can't make this mistake with a range for. So for now, just use exceptions to terminate your program gracefully and peacefully. Like this, you can use try, catch out of range, and you can give some C error, and the statement of your choice. So this was some errors, and we'll be discussing about error more. Till then, thank you.